Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the finished article, Fergie Time. This is where we talk about all things Man United. So I've got my co-host Shazad with me, and today we're going to be talking about the man Ed Woodward, who has finally left the building. So
Yes, yes.
before
It's
anything,
happening.
please hit the like button on the video, hit the subscribe button, and leave your comments. Let us know what you think about Ed Woodward leaving. And I know most of you are going to be happy about this guy leaving. Everyone's wanted him to leave for so long, and he's finally gone. And it took a new league being set up to get him to leave. Why couldn't they have done this earlier?
You know what it is? So I think he was always leaving at the end of the season as per his contract finishing. And in my opinion, I think from what I've read, he couldn't support the European Super League. Although I'm a bit confused now. If he couldn't support it, why all of a sudden has he resigned when it flopped?
To be
As
fair,
opposed
though,
to,
I've heard that he was one of the main people behind it for the Glaciers to help him get it all set up from their side.
you do realize he's a puppet for the Glazers, so he didn't
Yeah,
actually
no,
go.
but he was doing all the work for him, and
Yeah,
he supported it, bro. That's why he's been sacked because the Glaciers knew that now the league's flopped, someone has to take the fall for it. Otherwise, people are going to ask for their heads. But what they've not realized is Edward was leaving. That's just the start. Everyone wants the Glaciers gone.
gone for good. You know what? I'm going to be honest with you. The way I see this is, um, as the caption goes below, your boy Woodward's finally left the building. It's time for a fresh change at Man United. We've had, or correction, Man United have had Woodward since 2012, since David Gill retired and left house. And in that
Yeah,
time, he's managed to win one, maybe two trophies: the Europa League, the FA Cup, which I think is a disgrace. He might have said
yeah.
that he invested 100 million in the squad, but squad investment requires you to bring players that gel with the side, and I don't
No,
think they did
it,
that.
it takes bringing in the right players at the right time, which Edward
Not
was not been able to do. We've
not
been
not
trying to
just
sign Jadon Sancho for 2 seasons now, and we still
not
haven't got him.
not just players. I think managers as well. So we started off with David Moyes. He was given a 7-year contract,
Well, let's not talk about him.
of which he got sacked. By the way, a big up to David Moyes for what he's doing up at West Ham, because it shows that time
Yeah,
is a
no,
big dealer and he's a good manager. I just don't think there's the right man to take over Old Trafford after Fergie
I don't
retired.
think he was the right man for such a big club. Maybe a smaller club like West Ham, yeah, but a bigger club like
Yeah,
United, they have personalities at United. He couldn't handle it. But
well, the personalities he brought Delaney in, so we'll just leave it at that and say
yeah,
no
man.
more.
No, but what I'm going to talk about is Ed Woodward. The guy, since he started, has been absolutely useless. Do you agree with me or not, Shaz? Do you think the guy's useless or not?
I don't disagree. I think he's been shocking. I mean,
I mean, look at the signings that we've
can I
missed
say
out on
something?
because of him.
The guy has come from a banking background. So what you got to understand is, whilst Manchester United is a business, you got to look at it as a football club as well, to say what are you going to do for the club going
Mm-hmm.
forward. So if all you look at is your bottom line and say, look, I'm going to make you a profit, I'm going to make you a profit. Now, what this European Super League was set up to do, Shaz, and you probably know more about this, having read through it, is that
Mm-hmm.
it was designed to cater to the 12 teams that signed up. Each of the teams would get 350 million a year, and not only that, they would then expect or want to come back to the Premier League and compete and still make the Premier League competitive. It was going to put clubs like West Brom, Barnsley, Coventry City, you name it, practically the football pyramid out of business, because they wouldn't have been sustainable. And
Exactly.
just
Exactly.
for me, I think, and as a football fan, I've got to say one thing. Uh, the way I see this going is that it's simply down to the fact that the owners did not give a damn about the club, and
You're right.
these are the guys that need to
You're right.
walk. You see that door next to me? You need to go
Yeah,
out that door and don't
they
come
need to
back.
go out that door, bro. Get the Glaciers and kick them out that door, fam. Now, there's two quite no. Before we go on to that, I'm not sure if you know, Shaz, about the fans that turned up at the training ground at Carrington. there was a group of about 20 people, mostly dressed in black with some banners, that turned up to the Carrington training ground. They basically stormed Carrington training ground, and they
Yeah,
demanded to speak to Solskjaer, which they managed to speak to Solskjaer, Darren Fletcher, and Michael Carrick, who
yeah.
all three of them managed to calm these fans down. Now, I'm not sure what was actually said between the fans and these three representatives of United, but they calmed them down. The police turned up, and then they told this lot protesting basically to get out of here because you're basically trespassing on private property. So
Why?
and just before we go on,
Yeah,
I haven't got the banner with me, but there is a protest tomorrow in Manchester, which is being presented by the good friends over at Sarcasm City. Um, Basically, Glacier is out protest. There we go. I'm not sure if people can see it, but it's the Glaciers out protest, hosted by the boys over at Sarcasm City, Mandem podcast, all them good boys over there. If you can get down to it. You know, the more support we have, the more support that we need to get the Glaciers out. Now's the best time because they're under a lot of pressure about signing up for this new league. So they're under a lot of pressure, and this is the best chance we probably have to get them kicked out of the club and get new owners in.
yeah. So, guys, make sure you join
So
that
get
because
yourselves down to the protest if you can. If you're around Manchester or the surrounding areas, get yourselves down. But please be careful. You still have to adhere to social distancing, and you still have to wear your face mask. Those things are important. If you're going to be there, please, you are representing, the protests, so you have to do it properly with a face mask and adhering to social distancing. Now, before we move on to the next part, there's two questions that we obviously have here. I'm going to break them down into two parts. So the first part is the potential replacements for Ed Woodward, and the second part is what is next for the Glaciers. So we're going to go with potential replacements for Ed Woodward first.
you want to bring them
So
up.
the only rumor I've heard at this point in time is Edwin van der Sar coming in as his replacement. I think he's the football director. Am I right, Shaz?
Yeah, correct. He's football director.
So the potential replacement is Edwin van der Sar, who's obviously a club legend as a goalkeeper. He won it all with United, I believe, Premier League, the Champions League. He won everything. The man's a legend. I'd love to see him back at the club in any role, even if it's as a
You know
goalkeeping
what?
coach.
I think from my perspective, and I'm glad you brought that up, Shaz. So Edwin van der Sar, I think, would fit the mold. The only problem I see with van der Sar right now is that, and this is not him personally, it's just the way that these guys have done the European Super League, if you like. What club is going to want to tarnish their reputation? Because look, as you probably know, Richard Masters, head of the Premier League, asked the 6 executives of these clubs to drop out from the working body of the Premier League. So what you're now going to find out is you do the crime, you do the time, which means that every one of these bigger clubs are now going to suffer because they're not going to be part of the development and of the Premier League going forward, and they're going to miss out on key incentives. Now, one thing I've got to say here is
But that is only if they choose to drop out, isn't it? Or are they being kicked out?
they're forced. They've been either they
They're being
said
forced to drop
yeah,
out.
it's actually
Okay, that's fair.
most of them have actually left. They tried to reason with the 14 clubs. So I know Arsenal's chief director called all of the other 14 clubs, apologized personally. But let's be
Bit
honest,
late for apologies now, isn't it?
they all told him to do one. And Glazers,
I would
let's
as
be
well.
honest, if all you can do is release a statement saying we're not going to be part of the European Super League, then I'm sorry, but that's just embarrassing. I mean,
It
Gary
was all
Neville.
done at the wrong. It was all done wrong. If they announced the league and said that we're going to be participating in it, if they announced it, the way they announced it was just really bad as well. They announced it straight after UEFA announced the new format and the new changes to the Champions League. They literally waited until that announcement was done, and then they announced the European Super League, which is
The problem,
awful, man. Awful.
you know the problem with that new Champions League. So, by the way, whilst I don't accept what the 6 clubs have done, that new format of the Champions League is absolutely shocking. So you've got 36 teams in one league split over playing 2 games each, and I'm thinking to myself, you're just adding more quantity instead of quality. So
Yeah.
I like the European Super League, the format they were proposing. I don't agree with the breakaway. I agree
No,
with
no,
the
of course, of
format. So
course.
they should take the format and bring that in to have more quality games as opposed to silly
Yeah,
games
of
that
course,
are
of course.
meandering.
Now, one thing about Ed Woodward is UEFA were actually talking to him about the new format before it was released. They were getting his thoughts and advice on it. Then this was literally 3 days before all this kicked off with the European Super Leagues. And Ed Woodward didn't even mention to them that there's a breakaway league coming. He kept it all quiet whilst also giving them advice on their own league. So he was being a bit two-faced, if you ask me. He was giving him advice on one side on the UEFA Champions League and Europa League and all that stuff. But then on the other side, he was involved heavily in this European Super League. So you can't be involved with both because the European Super League is competing against the Champions League. That's one thing you have to understand. It was never there as another league or whatever brought in as another
Well,
competition for all
here's
these
the
clubs.
thing.
It
So
was brought in to take away these clubs from the leagues that they're in and the competitions they're in uh, to form a new league and bring in a new league for them. They were
no,
never
no,
going to be able to
but
participate in the Champions League or
you,
the Europa League or the Premier League or whatever they were in.
you gotta go to the root of the problem, Shaz. So the root of the problem is, and guys, you'll probably be aware. Guess who stands to gain more benefit from this? Real Madrid and
Yeah,
Barcelona. Why? Because these 2 clubs are in so much debt that they needed everybody
yeah.
jumping.
That's
Guess
where all
what?
this came from. Those two owners wanted
I just,
to help with the debt for their clubs. So they
I
decided,
just,
oh, let's get all the
I
European big teams through and let's make some money off them and get rid of our debt.
I
Muppets,
just
man.
read an article. I just read an article here that said for each of the clubs to pull out, it's going to cost them 130 million each. So let me tell you right now, and
Wow.
I'm sure everyone is aware that's watching, so it's probably not news to them. But guys, guess what? This wasn't thought of in 2 seconds. These guys have been talking about this
Oh,
3 years
yeah.
behind closed doors.
Oh,
Then
yeah.
all of a sudden they just decided I'm going to announce it today. And you know what?
Mm.
It was always going to fail. It flopped harder than. It flopped harder than really Beyonce did in concert. I'll say that much.
Fair play, bro. Fair play. Fair play, bro. It flopped harder than Diego Forlan at Man United. That's what you could say. Let's not go there, though. Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, back to the comment that I put before the banner. Potential replacement, Shaz. Who do you think's a good fit if it's not Van der Sar? Who do you think? Who else could take this role? Could Darren Fletcher be moved up?
No, not
No.
Darren Fletcher. Darren Fletcher is learning the ropes, and as most of these teams, I mean, if you really want to go out and get somebody, you really need to go out and get a qualified chief executive. I'd even look at what Bayern are doing. Carl.
Oh, apologies, folks. It looks like Shaz has had some technical difficulties there. But yeah, potential replacements. Edwin van der Sar is the only one that I've heard of so far. Other potential replacements, it could be anybody. It could be a while before we replace it, before we get someone in that position. Now, the other comment, sorry, I think Shaz is back. So I'll let him finish what you were saying there about Bayern Munich, bro. You
So
just died out there, bro.
yeah, sorry. I guess my laptop collapsed as quick as the Super League did. Flat on its face. I couldn't have said it better myself. Kyle Rummage of Bayern Munich. If you look at what he's done, he's a ruthless operator. And if you look at the way German clubs have been run under their specific owners, I think he wouldn't be a bad shout. But I got to be honest right now. I think the club need to do some soul searching and really think long and hard, especially the Glazers. Glazers, if I were the Glazers, I'd be like, you know what, you should hang your heads in shame and actually just leave the club, because
Yeah,
what you've done
definitely.
in this football, not just from a football perspective, just from Premier League, but you got to look at the Serie A, Liga, all of these other leagues. You have literally undermined world football, as Gary Neville said a short while ago. Glazers out, by the way, trending worldwide right now. So make
Yeah,
sure you
get
get
that
that.
trending. Keep on that trend because that needs to trend all day, every day until they're
I,
gone.
I'm just going to finish up by saying Gary Neville has rightly said that apology is not good enough. You guys
It's
are going to
not
have to
at
do
this stage. An apology is not good enough. Not after what's happened. But the last segment I want to talk about, Shaz, is what is next for the Glaciers. So as the other hashtag just showed, Glaciers out. That's the only thing I can see for them that can save them face is to leave Man United, go back to the States. Because these people, these type of owners, like these American owners, they don't even understand why English football has relegation. It's like
exactly. So
what is so hard to get about relegation? You move up and down leagues, it makes it better for other clubs to come up into the Premier
you know
League.
what they were trying to do. So what they were trying to do was they wanted to have the system what they had in the US, where they have in the MLS or
Yeah,
NFL.
so you have the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference, and then the winners go to playoffs and blah blah blah. That's what the European Super League was, but European version. There was 2 leagues of 10 teams. The top two, or no, was it the top 2 teams or the top 3 teams on each side go through, and then the other ones played in the playoff and all that rubbish. But yeah, it was a good format. Don't get me wrong. I like the format because it was a different style that we're not used to in Europe or in English football, but it was done the completely wrong way. If the Champions League and Europa League came through and UEFA decided, oh, we're going to change the whole format, we're going to use this European Super League style, I would have been all for it because it was a new format from the Champions League, which I would have been, I would have loved to see it. But no, it was these American owners and these the guys from Spain, the Real Madrid owner and the Barcelona owner, all they wanted was the money to get rid of the debt that they've put their club in. And the same for the Glaciers. They wanted the money to get rid of the debt that they put Man United in. But I guarantee they wouldn't have used the money to take Man United out of debt. They would have just lined their own pockets with it and taken all that money back to America.
Exactly.
That's all. I hate the Glaciers. I hate what they've done to Man United. I've hated what they've done to the club that I've supported since I was a kid. They need to go, man. We need an owner who knows the history of Man United, who won't tarnish the history the way these American owners have. They need to be gone, fam.
I'm just going to finish up this segment and this podcast today by saying one thing. Football was created by the poor and it's been stolen by the rich. And I simply say that
definitely.
They have the way the game has evolved. And by the way, I'm not dissolving the Premier League of any blame, because it all started when the Premier League started, and you can imagine contracts and stuff like that. Yeah. What you've got to look at is the rich will always get rich. Now, unless you control that, it's always just going to be an upward spiral of the big six.
The rich getting richer.
Yeah, exactly. The rich will get rich, and the
poor are staying even poorer. That's the way it is. Exactly. That's the way the government wants it. That's the way all these big rich people want it. They don't want people to become rich, bro. It's just one of them things. The rich want to stay rich and they want to keep the poor people poor.
No, that's true. But guys, as always, thank you very much for tuning in to today's episode. Please, before we jump off, leave a like, subscribe, and comment below. Leave us your thoughts on today's podcast, what you thought, if you disagreed with anything myself or Shaz went through, or if you want, I mean, you know what, it's fans forum. We're more than happy to have a chat and bring people on board. And as Shaz said, we're on the race to 100. So the more subscribers, the better, because without you guys, we wouldn't be where we are today. So really thank you for that. And until next time, take it easy.
Yeah, just to add on to that before we finish, yeah, we are bang on. We're on the race to 100. We're on just over 60 now, I believe. I think it's 64, 65 subscribers. Yeah. So we're about 35 off that 100. So please help us with that push to 100. Like Shaz says, we won't be where we are without you subscribers. So thank you very, very much from the bottom of my heart for all the support you've given us, and all support. Just keep hitting the like button, leave your comments, and get your other people that to subscribe. I'm going to leave it there. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much.